Hello to you. Happy Saturday. This video is going to go through everything that has been done in the world of Funman so far. I started learning Godot. This is made in the Godot engine midway last year, I think. And I started in 2D, but here we are in 3D. 3D is what I work in better. I'm going to jump around here a little bit because I've been learning different things all over the place. But right here we see a 3D screen with a canvas layer on top with the buttons. This is where all the Kickstarter people will go, as well as everybody else who helps out. So there is no game yet. I'm working on the mechanics just to make sure the characters can interact with each other and the characters can interact with the environment. I guess I can show you all the way. This is like the entire learning process. This was one of the first places that I made. In Godot, they have a very good relationship with Blender, which is really cool. You can create the scene, and you can also specify collision objects in Blender, so you don't have to do it when you get here. And this was just my first attempt at getting health and getting points and figuring out how variables worked. And I figured that out. Godot has these things called auto loads, or singletons. They're scripts that load at the beginning when you first start the game, and then you can reference them from any scene, which makes things pretty cool. You see all those lines? See the boxes? Each one of these is the round one, that's his shape, and then those boxes are areas that trigger other animations and stuff. That thing jetting out right in front of him, those are ray casts, and they also work to detect certain places. So when you go up to a button, later on I realized about collision layers, so this one doesn't have it. What's good to show collision layers? This is just basically a place to get things to work correctly. So if you look down below at the console, you can see when the raycast hits the area, it tells you, oh, this is hitting this area. Now, ladders have been one of the most challenging things so far, because when he hits the ladder in one place, he climbs the ladder, and then he needs to hit another place to trigger a dismount, and I don't have that on here yet, but I do have it other places. I have not nailed down how to climb fiddlesticks. I'm using a state machine. I can show you what that looks like. So a state machine is a list of the things your character can do and what your character can do next once it's in that state. What you just saw when he got stuck there, there's a transition that's not matching up to what it should. So it doesn't have the next correct state to go to, so it froze. Okay, you see at the top of that ladder, that floating cube? That is a trigger to dismount the ladder. As soon as he hits that, triggers a dismount. I've also figured out objectives, how to trigger them right here, that thing right there. It gives you an objective, except there is no objective closed here. And that's not supposed to happen. It's just supposed to fly around. But that's part of the fun of learning things. See you later, buddy. So there's a lot of making sure one thing triggers another thing, that things interact with the objects around them the way they should. One of the downsides about importing collisions directly from Blender is that I think they're just planar. They're not boxes, so if the process doesn't update fast enough, you kind of miss out. Now I'll show you some fun stuff. And this would be a lot nicer without the collision boxes. So part of what makes a really good game is the sound. There are a lot of different elements that all come together to make things, to get you immersed, to make it feel alive. Each one of these objects is made of a different material. I wanted to test out with the things that he throws. So before I started working on how his footsteps sound, depending on what he's standing on. So listen to this. Each one of these is assigned to a material group. And if that rigid body comes in contact with that material group, it plays the corresponding noise. That was really cool. That was a cool day to figure that out. And I gotta figure out how to get it to not bounce off of water, but I'll figure that out too. So, a game wouldn't be very fun unless you had people to interact with. So this is an enemy. There'll be different types of interactions, but once I work out the code for enemy, I can reuse the code for other enemy. Write the friendly code, and then I write the code of the people who derp around all the time. This guy, I tested out power bars over the heads so you know where you are when you're having in combat. Let's see, I'm just gonna see you later, alligator. That guy is this guy right here. It is a combination of a bunch of different things. We have all of his body parts there, and Godot works with something called a GLB file, which encapsulates all of the animations you put into the character. You make sure they're NLA strips, nonlinear animation strips. And then show you what this guy does. Add an action script. Oh, I think that's just a pose. Here's what plays when he gets hit by a car. There's a lot of funky rotations and scales and stuff, but Godot fixes them. That adds some challenges. That's the enemy. And now he's flying on his side. I don't like that. Alright, I don't know what happened. I'm not going to save that. No, don't. I discovered that something I did in one scene did not work in another scene. So that took a couple of days to wrap my head around that. How to send signals to different scripts to make sure everything worked wherever. In the game, your main character, Funman, as of the moment has 4 different states. The state you see him in now, and then there's another one called Carman. I want to spawn the car. Currently, Funman is inside that car, but he's just invisible. I'm proud of that car. It took a couple weeks. For perks, for level ups and stuff, the stuff that keeps you moving through the game and discovering new things, he has a bunch of different items of clothing that he can put on. So I thought of the items first, and then what they did after that, except the robot foot and the speed sandal were pretty easy to figure out. I had the issue of deciding how to get the character to be able to drive a car. Can he just walk up to any car? I also needed to disable everything except what's showing. If you have the glove and the bracelet, they will be showing when you drive too. I'll work that out. But robot foot wouldn't work and the speed sandal wouldn't work if you were inside the car. So the solution I came up with was to have you be able to equip the fez. And then the fez acts like a kind of trigger that lets you get inside the car. And as of right now, I'm still working out things with the car. But there will be improvements you can get over time for the car. And we're going to exit the car now. That took a while, but Funman's still in that car. Something funny happens if you spawn a bunch of cars. Oh. Those are enemies. Now right now they're attracted to the player, so they'll just run towards the car to their own death. Of course, it needs to be tweaked. Everything needs to be tweaked. Also, their collision shapes are supposed to go away, so I can just drive over them. It worked for some of them. So let's see some of those perks. As of the moment, the fez can let you enter the car, but I do believe you'll meet a character that gives you a little pennant to put on your fez, and that will enable you to drive a bit faster and do some cool car stuff. The fanny pack is... there it is, but that's you're going to get that at the beginning of the game just to be able to carry stuff, because he doesn't have anywhere to carry stuff because he's in his underpants. And there'll be another upgrade that he can wear on his back that will show the player how many throwable items he has. He won't have unlimited throwable items. But right now, this is just a test screen for me to make sure everything works. The magical bracelet, I have not thought of something for that to do. Oh, if you look at the bottom, the UI is very minimal at the moment, and I might like to keep it very minimal, only show important stuff. Yeah, the item shows up and it tells you what button to press in order to enable it. Things are going to be different. There's his robot boot. And at stage 1 with the robot boot, what each progressive stage you can jump higher, and then you deal damage if you have the level 2, and it's got different attachment on it. And then number 3, I think when you hit the ground, it's just going to be like an explosive charge, a limited amount. So this is going to be given to you by a robot, and my buddy Dave Firth, I'm going to ask him to voice that guy. As for these guys here, I think Robert Benfer would be a fantastic fit for making antagonistic Potato Kid voices. The speed sandal just helps you run fast. That's about it. And as the game goes on, you'll be able to enable more and more of these at the same time. Primarily, you can only use 1 at a time, and then you'll get the option to be able to use 2, and then you'll be all statted out by the end and be able to jump and run and throw shit. Cool. The special glove. This, it's difficult to see in the dark. Sorry about that. Without the glove, if you throw things, it's just normal. But special glove 1, your items kind of light up when you chuck them, and they have extra damage. And then there's an addition to the special glove, which turns your items to incendiary items. And this is when I first started grasping particles. And there are many, many things that can be done with particles. Oh, the glove. The lore behind the glove is going to be that you meet a baseball player who's missing his arm, and that was his lucky glove that helped him win a bunch of games, but since he lost his arm, he doesn't have a use for it anymore. So Funman will help him retrieve something or go on a quest for him, then as a reward you will get the special glove. And the special glove upgrade will be given to you by to be determined. I think it'll be... The idea I had was that you wouldn't be expecting the upgrade. It would be like a surprise, but it would be like a forced encounter. It wouldn't be a random thing. I'll show you one of the ugly places. I did this trying to figure out the different types of emissions that you can make happen. You can add like I forgot what it's called, noise, or like the influence of a random force. You can do a lot of stuff with particles, and I've just started scratching the surface because they're kind of like a secondary, or they're not a necessary detail for mechanics at the moment, so they're not getting my full attention. But I like to learn a little bit more each day about it. Okay, so the game has a story arc. It does have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And not to spoil anything, but you do have a time where you play as Funman as a kid. And this was a very exciting day because I realized I could just take all the code that I had from Funman, tweak it a little, and then put it in a completely different character. And this guy can't do all the same things as Funman. He does have a few different actions. But this was the first time creating an entire animation in Blender and then having it play back in chunks until it was done. Like so, you see the lunchbox lid flies off and like this. Yeah. The food flying out is a bit extreme right now. That was for the Kickstarter video to make it look funny. Anyway, there was a lot of learning that went on inside this guy. There was starting and stopping animations at certain points and then ending them. There was instantiation of the items that flew out. There was a randomization of the things that flew out. And these are... Actually, this mechanic was the one that inspired him to be able to throw things. But this one was done first. This area here was just a place where I started working out how the car would work. And how it would handle going up jumps and stuff. So having something tilt at the proper degrees, having your whole character do that when they're going up something like a ramp was fun to learn. This Jersey barrier here is supposed to trigger a crash reaction, and it only works sometimes, so I'll figure that out. The car is still in its infancy. There you go. But there will be larger swaths of places to travel, and I thought having a car would be much easier than having to hoof it all the time. And if you can't tell, the car is inspired by the Shriners. Hence the fez. This scene in the hole, this was just created to be able to show off a shot of the robot foot in the video, the promotional video thing. But I do hope to incorporate something like it, or maybe even just tweak this. Maybe have this hole somewhere in the game. Right now I'm figuring out how to make things work with other things, and once all of the elements are tight, then I can start world building. But until I have a grasp of element and how they work with each other, I'm not going to start building huge worlds that can't really do anything. Wide swaths of land where footsteps don't work, you know what I mean? You throw something and it makes no sound or no impact on the environment. Those are the things I need to figure out first. And for 2 months in, I don't think I'm doing that bad. This is also something I just made for the video to show some gameplay. Although I'm fairly certain this would be a fantastic way to meet the boss guy. This also... his enchanted amulet. I found the use for it in dark places. This way I can make a bunch of dark levels. But you won't be able to do anything in them until you get the amulet. So I could either restrict access to them until you have the amulet, or I could let people explore with in total darkness. Now this guy is the kid enemy, but his collision layers are up higher, and since I scaled him, the collision layers also upscaled, so he doesn't see me. But now he does. I have a random name generator I was playing with, so I have a bunch of first names and last names, so all of the characters that are generated have these silly names. That's pretty cool. Let me see if there's anything else I can share. You know, there was something so obvious I completely forgot about it. This. You'll be able to pick up items, and then you'll be able to use items, and this is the place that'll show you where that is. I have that mechanic set. These allow the player to mess with these values. And look sensitivity. There you go. Because different people like to play different ways. So it was important that no one would get sick to their stomach playing. I didn't want that. So that was something I did in the beginning. And then you'll also have the option to render things in respect to whatever system you're playing. I want it to be as good looking as it possibly could be. But I also didn't want it to destroy people's computers if they didn't have one that could run at full force. You'll have that option. The whole points system is going to be something that items you can acquire and then trade, like a lot of other games. So points aren't really going to be that big of a deal. It's items that are the big deal. That was that's something I really enjoy about Fallout. Fallout was Fallout 3 came at a wonderful time. Enjoyed getting lost in that world, so it's very inspirational. Hi Al, if you're watching. My buddy Al works for Bethesda. So that's pretty much where the game is at the moment. I'm getting mechanics to work the best I can, as efficiently as I can, and getting characters to interact with each other. And that car, to get that car working correctly. So, if this seems like something you'd like to see happen, there's a Kickstarter. All help is appreciated. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Hope you have a fun day.